morning and welcome to our seminar on this rainy morning. So once again, we open into the awareness of awareness. So if you like, you can focus on that space in between the breath, in between the thoughts, in between the breath. There is that space too. But in between the thoughts right now, so in between one thought and the next thought, there's that open space, empty space. And entering into that space, we focus in. And in the beginning, it's kind of tiny, and then very gradually, as we attend to it, it becomes bigger and bigger. Bigger and bigger. And we extend that space through the body. We extend it up and down through the whole body. And into the field around us. Bigger and bigger. That space is growing. We extend to the person to the right, to the left, across the room. We extend to the people on the internet this morning as they extend here. And then sensing the energy of the field. We pull it into the top of the head, down through the forehead, through the face, through the throat, down into the heart, down into the belly, into the lower body, down into the legs, into the feet, into the arms, into the hands. And we amplify the energy from the back of the head into the forehead, the back of the head into the heart, the back of the head into the lower body. So settling into the energy. And then focusing in the heart as we open into the light. And once again, we extend to each other. You extending here as we extend to you. Again, feeling that resonance, that connection. We extend also to the generational field, that field of the ancestors, the family, the friends. The great yogis we've known in our life. And we'll extend to them as a group this morning. We'll extend also to all our traditions, settling in. Into this field, this huge space, no beginning, no end. And we extend to the great archetypes. Of all the different traditions. So continuous space. There's a Shiva Sutra that says the mind, when focused on the objects of the world, becomes those objects. So the mind is a little bit like water. It becomes red water when it reflects red. It becomes blue water when it reflects blue. So the mind, when it's focused on the thoughts and feelings, it reflects our thoughts and feelings. Baba Muktananda used to say, we create our own world by our own thoughts, and thus we create our own heaven, our own hell. And the sutra goes on to say that when the mind is focused on the primordial awareness, on the self, it reflects the self. It reflects that clear light of the self, that clear light of our awareness. So what we learn from this sutra is that the mind is a bit like a mirror. It reflects whatever's in the mirror. If we're miserable, it will reflect misery. If we're happy, it will reflect happiness. And if we become aware of the inner potential, the clear light of awareness, the mind will reflect the self of all. So what we focus on, we become. What we focus on, we become. In a 2007 study of mindfulness and mood at the University of Toronto, using MRI, noted the different neural pathways open when people pay attention to sensations and feelings in the present moment, rather than evaluative thoughts. And one of the researchers says, if people continually activate their pathways for telling their story or staying caught in their evaluative thoughts, their pathways for present-centered awareness get weaker. This is particularly important with people suffering from a sad mood. Mindfulness of sensations and feelings in the present moment allows people to access the present moment pathways, the neural pathways. It's important to note that this study is not even dealing with the more subtle aspects of awareness, but simply becoming aware of the working mind in the present moment can have positive results. At the University of Montreal, researchers compared MRI of experienced meditators and novice meditators. Experienced meditators had less activity among areas of the brain associated with self-referential thoughts. So through the practice of meditation, we can actually get less preoccupied with our own dramas, less stressed, and not take things so personally. In still another study at Harvard, the MRIs of 16 subjects who had never meditated were scanned, and after an 8-week period of mindfulness meditation, the researchers had found that the participants' gray matter density shrank in the amygdala, and the change was correlated with decreases in stress. Other changes that occurred: increased density in the posterior cingulate cortex, which is associated with sustained attention. Increased density in the left hippocampus, which is related to emotional regulation. And finally, the study showed changes in the brainstem, potentially related to serotonin production and correlated with feelings of well-being. The researchers pointed out that these neural changes are likely to be temporary without continued meditation practice. So what we focus on, we become. When we go beyond the mind into the primordial awareness, the clear light of awareness, we actually go beyond the mind and discover even more of our potential. So one method to know the clear light of awareness is to concentrate intensely on the idea that the universe is totally void. And this is from Shaivism, so we hear from Lord Shiva, who tells his consort Parvati how to do this. He says, "O great goddess, the yogi should concentrate intensely on the idea that the universe is totally void. In that void, his mind should become absorbed. And then as he becomes more refined in the practice of absorption, he becomes more absorbed in the absolute void." So when the mind is absorbed in vast open space, thought constructs come to a dead stop. And this is the moment when the light makes its presence felt and a deeper reality is experienced beyond thoughts, feelings, sensations. This space, this void, this consciousness is filled with presence. This presence is always available in thinking and non-thinking, and yet it is more easily accessed as we pull our awareness away from thoughts into the space between the thoughts. Before each moment appears in the mind, and as the previous thought subsides, there is a brief moment when there are no thoughts in the mind. And it is out of this void that all thoughts actually take form. It's not only good thoughts that come out of this void, but bad thoughts too. The void holds all things, all thoughts, all ideas, all secrets, all feelings, all deceits, and all truths. Everything arises and subsides in the void. And according to Shaivism, there are 7 voids. In the first void, we get a sense of something greater than our thoughts, our feelings, our history. We get a glimpse of ourselves as a subject, and we are able to experience ourselves as different than the objects of the world. In other words, we become more aware of our essential self and are able to let go of thoughts and feelings, if only for an instant. In the second void, in the space of the heart, initially as we focus in this void, we may experience all kinds of feelings and affects. We experience the pairs of opposites, good, bad, happy, sad. And as we penetrate through these feelings, we enter the void of the heart. A spaciousness and calmness may be experienced. As we become absorbed in spaciousness, the bliss of this void is experienced. In the third void, one begins to be familiar with the field of awareness. One begins to identify oneself as awareness, as a subject who knows objects. Ordinarily, most people get lost in an object and forget the self or knower of the experience. The real knower is the awareness field, from which the subject arises and in which it rests. The yogi is always mindful of that awareness field, which alone is the subject of everything. This experience corresponds to a feeling as an opening in the third eye, crown centers, and throat centers. In the fourth void, the void of pervasiveness, one begins to experience cosmic consciousness. The yogi merges with all-pervading space, and body boundaries dissolve. He may fill the entire room with his or her awareness. This void of pervasiveness may be experienced like a mini-death. The subject lets go of individuality and merges into space. The fifth void is the void of total oneness, in which everything is perceived as the same. It is the state of equality consciousness. The yogi is in harmony with everything in the universe. One begins to experience all people and objects in and through oneness. Martin Buber describes this state as the I-thou relationship, being fully present to the other, in oneness, subject meeting subject. The yogi now enters the void of total oneness and experiences oneness in every situation, in everyday life. In the sixth void, the void of being completely thought-free, the yogi experiences supreme freedom beyond mental processes. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it, in whichever direction the fluctuating and unsteady mind moves, it should be held back from that direction and brought under the control of the self. All habitual thoughts and affects are dissolved into the field of awareness. The awareness of awareness is now the yogi's central identification. And the final void is the non-void. It is described as the inexpressible absolute. To enter this void, one must abandon all supports. It is in this void that the yogi becomes one with the knowledge and power of the field of awareness. Yoga is but both dissolution and emergence, both death and rebirth, both dissolving and coming to be. Dzogchen Buddhism describes the inexpressible absolute in a poem entitled The King of Space. The King of Space is Dharmakaya wisdom. Because the nature of the mind manifests, there is bliss. Because the real condition is unthinkable, there is total space. Because the space is unthinkable, there is the state of the victorious ones. The victorious ones are those enlightened beings who have recognized this complete potential that's in each of us. Within the unthinkable space, the non-conceptual knowledge of the victorious one arises in oneself. And we begin to experience the self-arising wisdom, again, which exists in each of us. So as we practice, we discover this wisdom. So today we'll begin with the mantra Ah. And this mantra is used in both Shaivism and in Dzogchen. It is a primordial mantra, one that invokes the discovery of the self-arising wisdom within each of us. So we'll focus in the heart, in the center of the heart, and we'll use Namkhe Norbo as a help today. Chant along with him. And we'll do this just for a little bit, and then we'll have it quiet after a while. as we've been cultivating awareness for some time, we'll do that practice where we focus on family and friends that might be having some difficulty right now. And we hold the light for them. We extend to them. And if you like it, you can invoke a great archetype to support you, or a teacher, as you hold the light. Understanding we're not different than them. And we'll also focus on peace throughout the world, which is getting pretty hairy right now. So a lot of light would help. And we have one more chant today. A little different than what we've been experiencing. Just to warn you.
One becomes
And we'll start to close up right now. If you like, you can rub your hands together till they're hot. And sealing at the heart, the top of the head, the belly. Do we have any announcements?
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. In the month of June, not sure the date exactly yet, Lama Norla will be coming here and giving a workshop on one of the weekends. And also on May 15th, there'll be a Friday at 6:30 for about an hour and a half. We're going to have Clem Conager come here, who's a French osteopath and who's a great clinician, but also he's a renowned trainer of athletes, high-performance athletes. In fact, one of his people just won the international kayaking thing in the world. And he uses meditative awareness in training people. And the title of his talk here will be, and be actually talk and experiencing, will be modifications of awareness, modifications of consciousness. And so he looks at meditation as a high-performance sport, which is really cool. So there'll probably be no charge for that, but we have to limit it to about 30 people because we like to use the space. So you can email us if you want to come to that. Thanks.
Well, if you like to stay and meditate for a while, you're welcome. And if you like, you can put that chant back on the Namkhe Norbu chant, number 2. So thank you all for coming. And we do have some refreshments upstairs. But if you like to sit for a while, you're welcome.